The President Bola Tinubu's administration is not resting on its oars in ensuring that the effect of fuel subsidy removal is reduced to its barest minimum among Nigerians, with the latest move being the renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer Scale-Up program targeted at the 15 million households of the poor and vulnerable in the country. Recall that this cash transfer program is one of the 15 items in the Memorandum of Understanding between the federal government and the organized labor on October 2, 2023. This is not the first time government has carried out such interventions. The previously held exercise could not realize its full potentials as it did not last longer than expected. What is the federal government going to do differently to make the renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer Scale-Up program achieve the needed results and avoid a repeat of the previous experience? These and others are some of the questions that our guests shall be providing answers in a jiffy on today's episode of Nigeria Today. I am your carrier, Clinton. Welcome. Now, joining me in the studio to discuss the renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer Scale-Up program of the federal government is a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst, Ahmed Abubakar Tanimu. You're welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure seeing you here.
It's mine.
And also joining us via Zoom for the conversation is Jide Ojo, an international affairs analyst. It's a pleasure to have you with us on Nigeria Today.
Thank you, Kay. Good evening, Nigerians.
I will start with you, Jide. What is your impression of this program, this scheme that the Renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer Scale-Up program?
Well, I think the Tinubu administration needs to be commended for this initiative. I am of a strong belief that the president has done well in continuing with the already established tradition from the time of President Muhammadu Buhari, who in his wisdom in 2016 established a social intervention investment program. And I've sustained it to the extent of even having it formally in our laws. I think the president signed that social investment program bill into law before he exited office. Having said that, as you said in the background, the challenge was exacerbated by the removal of fuel subsidies. So government needed to do a lot more than about 3 million that was on the social register that were collecting the token or the dough needed to be expanded to be able to reach many more people, given the fact that according to National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria has about 133 million citizens who are multidimensionally poor. And so 15 million people to benefit and approximately 61 million to benefit from this conditional cash transfer. It's a welcome development, and I just hope that all the weaknesses observed in the implementation by the previous administration will be taken care of. Vis-a-vis issues of opacity in the whole administration process, lack of accountability. We saw in the last administration, beneficiaries were giving cash, and that is very difficult to trace because how do you trace somebody if somebody collects more than once? But now we saw in the footage that is shown on your screen that people are going to be receiving this money through their bank accounts. And as Mr. Wale, the Minister of Finance said, the biometrics of the beneficiaries have been captured. And of course, I'm also gladdened by the fact that even, among the beneficiaries are going to be the pensioners and widows of veterans who died in the course of serving the nation, so that their own service will not be in vain. So if you look at that, it's a welcome development.
Thank you very much, Jide. Now, I want to hear from you too. You heard what Jide said there. What's your own impression of the program?
We must give it to the current administration, that's the Tanimu's regime. It's a commendable effort. Looking at the fact that a lot of Nigerians are going through a lot with the removal of the fuel subsidy. It makes living condition to even become worse than the way it used to be. Before now, they talked about 133 million people living in a multi-dimensional poverty. And if you look at it, they are looking at poverty from a broader perspective, where you talk about people that don't have means of commuting from one area to the other, good sanitary condition in terms of the way they go about their daily activities, and the environmental challenges. But what this program seeks to achieve is to cater for the downtrodden, the poorest of the poor, those that cannot even afford their daily square meal. They believe is that with the intervention of government, it will enable them to now be able to have something doing. It could be the woman that is frying akara on the roadside. It could be that there is a person in charge of a household. He just needed a support, a kind of relief that we're able to augment the challenges. Cost of items are getting higher over the inflationary trend has continued to impact negatively on all Nigerians. So those people ordinarily that before now they can be able to engage in small farming, in small petty trading businesses, most of their businesses have crumbled. So this is a welcome development, because with this intervention, their businesses will be rejigged. The little intervention that is coming, we thank God that the opaqueness that we witnessed in the past, whereby people are giving cash, as Gigi rightly pointed out, is no more. Now you have a transparent system. What we are calling is that the program should be sustainable, and the coverage should be expanded so that other vulnerable members of the society too can equally be covered.
We'll get to that point. Now, Jide, like you rightly said, this is not the first time we're having this kind of intervention program. We also had it during the time of the late, in 2007, during the time of the late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, when, some household, also it was under the care of the people, COPE, the conditional cash transfer, it was called COPE CCT, and they also had some limitations at the end of the day. Of course, the recent, in 2016, like you rightly mentioned, they also had something in that regard. Now, what are the challenges that the other administrations saw that they were not able to actually achieve a very good result, that you think this administration should be cautious of if this program is to succeed?
So thanks for taking us back memory lane on the Maru Musaya Adwa, but the one that comes readily to mind is the social investment program of Buhari, where 500 billion was earmarked since 2016 annually. And of course, we know this conditional cash transfer is just one of the about 4 streams of intervention that is meant to cushion the harsh economic challenges Nigerians are facing. We have the Empower program, where about 500,000 Nigerian youths who graduated from universities are also being recruited to work as teachers, as farmers. They are being paid a token for 2 years, after which they leave and another set is taken. But I think they've reduced it to 1 year now. There is also the home-grown school feeding program, which was quite controversial, given the fact that the last administration didn't quite manage that very well. But the home-grown school feeding program was aimed at encouraging students to go to school and to stay in school. Then we have the MSME support, which is the micro, small, and medium enterprises support, under which we have trader money and farmer money, where traders who are given some token to support their businesses. And the conditional cash transfer, which is the other stream, is where vulnerable Nigerians get some monthly cash support. Now, as to the weaknesses of the previous exercise, one I mentioned earlier, on lack of transparency and accountability. Like I said, if you recall, the beneficiaries in the last administration were not biometrically captured. There was no biometric registration of the beneficiaries. Then many of them do not have bank accounts. So they were being given the money as cash at hand. We saw the footage where the then Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was going around the country and giving cash to beneficiaries. And that is quite unfortunate because, like I said, it opens room for manipulation. Somebody can collect multiple times because they are not biometrically, registered. So somebody can impersonate and collect more than a fair share. And of course, we know, I don't know whether the CCT people were old, but what we learned with the Empower program was that many of the beneficiaries were being owed about 8 months' salary, which the current administration was trying to offset now. So part of those things that the incumbent, Dr. Betta, who is the Minister in charge of Humanitarian Affairs, needs to watch out for are those pitfalls. And it gladdens my heart that he said the current round of beneficiaries have their biometric captured and that they are all going to get their funds through the bank account. The only thing I see as a big challenge is sustainability. Because unlike the one Buhari did, it wasn't just three months intervention and then everybody goes back. It was, recall that during the COVID-19, the president asked that the social register should be increased, I think from 1 million to 3 million, and they were getting this money every month. But now that this intervention that we are celebrating today is just for 3 months. So what happens from January 2024? Are we saying that those beneficiaries will have been cured of their poverty status? They will have been self-sufficient as to be able to take care of themselves from after December 2023. So that poses a sustainability challenge.
Okay, now, Abubakar, just like you rightly mentioned, even before he mentioned the duration, I was also going to mention that I know that of the former president, 2007, was for 1 year.
Sure.
And people said it was too short.
Sure.
Now, that of Muhammadu Buhari, I think is for 3 years. Yeah. And still, we still had a lot of people that were still saying, oh, it was not well done and all of that. Now we have that of 3 months. What is your take on this?
For me, I think the 3 months is quite short, but equally you have to look at it from the angle of sustainability. Already the sparsity of funds, the government is, as we all know, there's no much resources that can go around some of these laudable programs. And there's this fear. We don't want to create a dependency culture whereby we believe that government should be able to provide everything that there's no magic wand or magic silver bullet that will cure poverty in a country. You need to improve on the economic conditions. If things are working well, if we are tackling the issue of the economy properly. We belong in we are in a communal setting. As you are here now in the studio, you have people that are dependent on you, family and friends, that you do conditional transfer, urgent 2K, urgent 5K. They amount to a substantial amount to augment the poverty in the land. But you find it that if you two are having challenges whereby the salaries that you are being paid is not commensurate to the economic reality, you have to pay rent, you have to live in a particular area. So the burden now is on all Nigerians. So what we expect from the government is not to focus more on attempting to, I will not call it cosmetic approach in resolving poverty, but we need to a more sustainable program. When I say sustainable program, it's one part of the demands of the labor union. Talk about transport, for example. With the removal of subsidy, our own thinking was that by now the conversion process from petrol to gas would have been a thing that would have been all over. But as I told you the other time, it cost about 450,000 to convert your petrol, the car that is using petrol, to the one that is using gas that is cheaper. So we thought by now, part of the intervention, government should focus on those conditionalities that will naturally reduce poverty on all scales and all ramifications. Giving people money that in some instances are not productive. Some of them are not really doing anything with the money. They only use it to sustain themselves. We want a longer period, but we want equally the economic condition of the country to be radically improved. We know what dollar is saying in the market as at today is still above 1,665 to 100 naira, and it affects every other facet. So the focus on the government in poverty eradication, apart from this, as this is going on simultaneously, attention should be focused on all other aspects, so that if all of us are doing well, it will reduce poverty, because we have that communal responsibility where we take care of our aged parents, our friends and family members. So let us too be intervening in terms of the transfers that we do. But if we are incapacitated due to the economic reality, there's not much you can do. Then talking about the weaknesses, I think at this point they should go beyond only capturing their data. We want to equally have a registry whereby when you click on their website, you'll be able to see people that are benefiting, so that if you know somebody that is working, somebody that is earning fine and is in your community, you can as well pinpoint that this particular person does not deserve to be there, so that politicians will not hijack the processes, and instead of having real genuine poverty-stricken people, you now have political talks and those that are patronizing political parties as beneficiaries. It's not enough to capture their data, but they should make it public. Nobody wants to have conditional transfer from the government if they know that they are not poor. So there's nothing, it's not shaming, but it's being accountable so that people will not abuse the process.
Okay, now, Jide, I know Nigeria is not the only one that adopted this, the CCT, the conditional cash transfer. I know some other countries, like some countries in Latin America, they've been in this kind of program, and it's been going a long way to help the poor and the vulnerable in the countries. Now, in your view, keeping the economic realities in view, what are some of the practices out there that you think that we should adopt here and enable us make this program a success?
Well, much as there is international best practices, or what some other people will call international good practices, I believe that each country is peculiar in its own way. And if you watch yesterday, the country director of World Bank was present at the launch. And of course, even the social register was put together with the support from the World Bank. So we can borrow ideas. We can adapt and adopt what other countries are doing. And I believe that's why Buhari administration made this social investment program to be his signature program, his pet program that he hopes future generations will remember him for. And the truth is that the fact that he initiated this 500 billion, and as at that time in 2016, it was also as a kind of interventionist program to bring succor to Nigerians who were being negatively affected by the removal of fuel subsidy under the Buhari administration. So what am I saying? It is all good to learn one or two things from what obtains in other climes, but you have to adapt and adopt it to suit your own peculiarities. And what I stand by is accountability and transparency in this whole exercise. Then sustainability. What are we going to do? Can we have these beneficiaries of this conditional cash transfer migrated to being given some money for micro, small, and medium enterprises, in which case you are weaning them off this, dole, because this whole thing will last for just 3 months. In 90 days, they are out there, the largest will dry up. But if there is a kind of transition that makes those who benefit now to also put them on enrollment for benefiting among the micro, small, and medium enterprises, it will help, so that it's not like you cut off their survival after 3 months. So that would be one good idea that I think they need to think through, so that it's not just after 90 days to your turn to Israel. Let them be able to give them some loans that can help these people to stand on their own. So it's not just giving them fish, but teaching them how to fish. The other challenge I need to flag is challenge of recouping government loans. We saw that with Anchor Borrowers Program. Majority of beneficiaries refuse to pay back under one reason or one guise or the other. But again, it's one thing you need to take in your stride. And I believe that whoever is going to benefit from the micro, small, and medium enterprises needs to have guarantors, and perhaps if they can add a collateral, so that in the event of them defaulting, they can government will be able to take back its money. But on this, specifically speaking to this conditional cash transfer, what I want to see, what one good practice that I would like to recommend is the fact that this set of people who also are being supported for these 3 months, for those of them who may want to learn a skill, for government to support them in learning that skill for 3 months while they get paid this 25,000 naira, so that at the end of these 3 months, they can now, of their own accord, start this business they must have learned through the skill acquisition, and use that to sustain themselves. Because truth be told, government cannot support 15 million people forever. Even if we say it's 25,000, I think it's just like one newspaper put it at about 1 trillion naira. If you add 25 times 3 times 15 million. So that is huge. That means only a section, only 50 million of Nigerians are taking what should benefit the entire country. So that would be my advice.
Thank you very much. I would have loved you to say something, but we don't have that time. I know the other time you said 8,000, so this time around it's 25,000. So it's definitely will go a long way to do something, even though it's a short period. But that does it on Nigeria today. I'd like to appreciate my guests for their contribution. A very big thank you to Abubakar, Ahmed, Tanimu, a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
your contribution. And also via Zoom, we had Jide Ujo, an international affairs analyst. Thank you so much for being part of this program.
Pleasure. Stay safe and stay blessed.
Thank you for being part of the program. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.